What if I told you that massive creatures the size of school buses once walked through forests where New York City now stands, and that the very ground beneath your feet was once buried under ice thicker than skyscrapers are tall? And this incredible transformation happened not once, but dozens of times throughout Earth's history? In the next 3 hours, you'll discover the hidden secrets of our planet's most traumatic chapters while drifting into the most peaceful sleep. Scientists kept many of these revelations locked away in research vaults for decades, until recent discoveries forced them to completely rewrite what we thought we knew about life on Earth. Tonight, we're going on a journey back in time, 20,000 years ago, to a world so alien yet so beautiful that it will reshape how you see the very air you breathe, the water you drink, and the ground you walk on. Before you close your eyes completely, take a moment to like this video if you're ready for this incredible journey. Subscribe for more cosmic adventures, and comment below with your country and what time you're listening. Whether you're in bustling Tokyo at midnight or peaceful countryside Sweden at dawn, we're all connected by the same ancient ice that once covered our shared home. Now, let your breathing slow, let your body sink deeper into comfort, and prepare to witness the most magnificent transformation our planet has ever experienced. Close your eyes and imagine standing at the edge of what would one day become Manhattan. But instead of towering skyscrapers, you're facing a wall of ice so impossibly tall it seems to touch the clouds themselves. This isn't just any ice. This is a glacier, a frozen cathedral of compressed snow and ancient air, rising nearly a mile into the sky above you. The air you breathe feels different here. It's crisp and thin, carrying the scent of pristine snow and something else, something wild and untamed. Each breath creates a small cloud that dissipates quickly in the dry, cold atmosphere. The silence is profound, broken only by the distant groaning and cracking of the massive ice sheet as it slowly, inevitably moves southward. But here's what scientists discovered that changes everything we thought we knew about this time. This ice sheet, this frozen giant, wasn't just sitting there motionless. It was alive in its own way, breathing, flowing, carrying within its frozen depths the stories of thousands of years. Every layer of ice was like a page in Earth's diary, preserving ancient atmospheres, volcanic ash from eruptions that happened before humans walked the Earth, and even cosmic dust from distant stars. Recent core samples taken from similar ice formations have revealed something extraordinary. Trapped within this frozen time capsule were bubbles of air that mammoths breathed, the same oxygen that filled the lungs of saber-toothed cats as they prowled through forests that existed in valleys between these towering ice walls. Feel yourself relaxing as you picture this scene. Your body is warm and safe, but your mind can travel freely to this ancient landscape. The weight of the ice, measured in trillions of tons, was so immense that it actually pressed down on the Earth's crust, causing the very continents to sink slightly under its burden. And this is just the beginning of our journey. The most incredible discoveries about what lived and thrived in this frozen world are yet to come. But first, let your breathing deepen, let your muscles soften, as we prepare to discover how life not only survived in this ice-bound world, but created ecosystems more diverse and magnificent than anything we see today. What secrets did these glaciers hold? How did massive creatures not only survive, but flourish in this frozen realm? The answers will surprise you, comfort you, and perhaps change how you see winter forever. As you settle deeper into comfort, picture this: vast highways stretching across the frozen landscape, not made of asphalt or stone, but carved by the footsteps of creatures so magnificent they seem pulled from the pages of mythology. These are the mammoth highways, ancient pathways worn smooth by generations of woolly mammoths, their massive padded feet creating routes that connected distant feeding grounds across thousands of miles. Recent discoveries using ground-penetrating radar have revealed something that shocked the scientific community. These pathways weren't random wanderings. They were sophisticated migration routes, passed down through mammoth families for thousands of years, connecting summer feeding grounds in what is now Siberia to winter refuges in valleys, protected from the harsh winds. But here's where the story takes an incredible turn. Scientists analyzing mammoth DNA found in Siberian permafrost discovered that these creatures had an internal compass system more precise than anything we've created. Magnetite crystals in their inner ears allowed them to navigate using Earth's magnetic field, turning each mammoth into a living GPS system perfectly adapted to their icy world. Feel the wonder of this as you sink deeper into relaxation. These weren't just big, hairy elephants struggling to survive. They were master navigators of a world we can barely imagine, with social structures so complex that mammoth families would reunite at specific locations year after year, generation after generation. The ground beneath their feet wasn't the frozen wasteland we might picture. Core samples have shown that the mammoth steppe, as scientists call it, was actually one of the most productive ecosystems Earth has ever known. Grasses grew in thick, nutritious carpets that could support not just mammoths, but vast herds of woolly rhinoceros, giant bison, and cave lions. Picture yourself walking alongside these gentle giants, their breath creating clouds of steam in the cold air, their thick wool coats rustling in the wind. Each mammoth weighed as much as a school bus, yet they moved with surprising grace across landscapes that would challenge our most advanced vehicles. Your breathing is becoming slower now, matching the patient rhythm of these ancient migrations. In and out, like the seasonal breathing of the Earth itself during the Ice Age. The mammoths knew something we've forgotten about patience, about moving in harmony with natural cycles, about the deep wisdom of following paths worn by countless generations before them. But the mammoths weren't alone on these frozen highways. They shared their world with creatures that seem impossible, yet their fossils prove they existed. Giant beavers the size of bears, cave bears that made grizzlies look small, and birds so massive they could carry off a modern deer. How did such incredible biodiversity flourish in a world of ice? The answer lies in understanding the true nature of the Ice Age, which wasn't just one long frozen period, but something much more complex and beautiful. Let your body sink even deeper into comfort as we discover one of the most mesmerizing secrets of the Ice Age. What if I told you that this frozen world had a heartbeat, a rhythm as regular and life-giving as your own pulse? Scientists studying ice cores and sediment layers have discovered that the Ice Age wasn't one continuous freeze, but a complex dance of warming and cooling that pulsed across the planet in cycles lasting thousands of years. These weren't random climate changes. They followed a pattern so precise that ancient peoples learned to read the signs and adapt their lives to these grand rhythms. The ice sheets advanced and retreated like slow, massive tides, creating windows of opportunity that lasted for centuries, allowing life to flourish in ways that seem almost magical. Picture this incredible scene. As the ice retreated during a warming pulse, it left behind vast lakes of crystal-clear meltwater, some larger than the Great Lakes of today. These temporary seas became oases of life in the post-glacial landscape. Forests of birch and pine would spring up along their shores with remarkable speed, creating ecosystems that existed for hundreds of years before the next cooling cycle began. Recent discoveries in Greenland ice cores have revealed that these climate shifts could happen with breathtaking suddenness. Within a single human lifetime, average temperatures could shift by 15 degrees, transforming tundra into forest or grassland into ice. Yet life adapted with resilience that amazes scientists today. Feel your own body's rhythm slowing as you contemplate this ancient pulse. Your heartbeat, steady and strong, echoes the patient rhythm of these glacial cycles. In and out, like the advancing and retreating ice, like the slow breathing of a planet finding its balance. But here's the most remarkable discovery of all. During the warmer pulses, when the ice retreated, extraordinary ecosystems emerged that were unlike anything on Earth today. These were hybrid environments, part Arctic, part temperate, creating niches for creatures that evolved nowhere else in Earth's history. The Irish elk, despite its name, wasn't an elk at all, but a giant deer whose antlers spanned 12 feet from tip to tip. These magnificent creatures thrived in the parklands that emerged between ice sheets, their massive antlers serving not just for fighting, but as resonating chambers that allowed them to call to each other across miles of open landscape. Cave paintings from this era, recently discovered in previously unexplored caves, show that early humans witnessed these transformations. They painted not just the animals they hunted, but the changing landscapes themselves. Scenes of rivers where glaciers once stood, forests growing where ice once ruled, capturing in pigment and charcoal the dynamic, ever-changing nature of their world. Your breathing is becoming more peaceful now, synchronized with these ancient rhythms. Each breath in brings you closer to understanding the patient wisdom of geological time, where changes that seem sudden by Earth's standards still unfold over centuries, teaching us about the deep patience required for true transformation. But the most incredible aspect of these pulsing cycles was how they affected the ocean currents, creating a global system of climate regulation that connected every continent on Earth. The story of how melting ice in North America could trigger monsoons in Africa, or how cooling in Europe could bring rain to Australia, reveals a planet-wide communication system more intricate than any network we've ever built. As you settle into an even deeper state of relaxation, let your mind drift beneath the ice-cold waters of the glacial oceans. Here, in the deep currents that circled the globe, lay perhaps the most important secret of the Ice Age, one that scientists are only now beginning to fully understand. The oceans during this time weren't just cold. They were transformed into a vast memory system that stored and transported the story of climate across the entire planet. Feel yourself floating in these ancient waters, but safely, warmly, as if wrapped in the most comfortable blanket. Below the surface, massive rivers of water flowed in slow, predictable patterns. These weren't ordinary currents, but conveyor belts of climate information that took over 1,000 years to complete a single circuit around the globe. Recent deep-sea drilling projects have uncovered sediment layers that tell an incredible story. As ice sheets grew and shrank on land, they changed the saltiness and density of ocean water in ways that rippled across every sea on Earth. When ice locked up fresh water, the remaining ocean became saltier and heavier, sinking deep and carrying oxygen and nutrients to the ocean floor. This process created something extraordinary. The deep ocean became a reservoir of life-supporting elements that could sustain entire ecosystems even during the harshest periods of glaciation. Microscopic creatures called foraminiferae, barely visible to the naked eye, thrived in these nutrient-rich depths, creating the foundation for food chains that stretched from the ocean floor to the surface. Your breathing is becoming slower and deeper now, matching the patient circulation of these ancient currents. In and out, like the slow mixing of surface and deep water, like the endless cycling of nutrients that sustained life, even in the coldest times. But here's where the story becomes truly magnificent. As you listen to these words, feel yourself becoming part of this vast system. The oxygen in your blood once dissolved in these glacial seas. The calcium in your bones was once part of the shells of creatures that lived in these ancient waters. You are literally made from the memory of the Ice Age ocean. Scientists studying these sediment layers have discovered that the ocean's memory extends far beyond simple temperature records. Chemical signatures in the seafloor tell stories of massive volcanic eruptions that affected climate for decades, of meteor impacts that triggered temporary cooling, of slow changes in ocean acidity that influenced the evolution of shell-bearing creatures. The most remarkable discovery came from studying the shells of tiny marine creatures preserved in these sediments. Like tree rings, their shells recorded daily growth patterns that revealed not just seasonal changes, but the length of days and months during the Ice Age. Scientists discovered that Earth's rotation was actually faster then, making days slightly shorter, and the moon was closer, creating more extreme tides. Picture these super tides, rising and falling with tremendous force along icebound shores, creating tidal pools that froze and thawed with each cycle, becoming natural laboratories where life experimented with new forms of cold adaptation. Your body is completely relaxed now, supported by the steady rhythm of your breath, as steady as those ancient tides. Each inhalation brings peace. Each exhalation releases any remaining tension, allowing you to float effortlessly on the current of this story. The ocean's memory also preserved evidence of something even more extraordinary. During certain periods of rapid ice melt, massive floods of fresh water poured into the North Atlantic, temporarily shutting down the global circulation system entirely. These weren't gradual changes, but sudden reorganizations of the entire planetary climate system, completed within decades. Yet life persisted, adapted, and thrived. The ocean's memory shows us that our planet has weathered far more dramatic changes than anything we face today, and that the systems supporting life are more resilient and interconnected than we ever imagined. As you drift deeper into sleep, carry with you this knowledge of the ocean's patient wisdom, its ability to remember, transport, and sustain life across the vast spans of geological time. For you too are part of this ancient memory, connected through water and breath to every creature that ever lived in these primordial seas. Allow your mind to drift now into one of the most surprising discoveries about the Ice Age world. In your imagination, step carefully through a landscape that defies everything we thought we knew about life during the Great Freeze. Here, in hidden valleys between towering glaciers, flourished gardens of such beauty and diversity that they rival the most spectacular ecosystems on Earth today. These refugia, as scientists call them, were pockets of relatively mild climate, protected by surrounding ice and mountains. Picture yourself walking through one of these secret gardens, where the air is still cool but breathable, where streams of glacial meltwater create a gentle symphony as they wind between moss-covered rocks and flowering plants that existed nowhere else on Earth. Recent pollen analysis from sediment cores has revealed that these refugia contained plant communities unlike anything in our modern world. Ancient birches with leaves twice the size of today's varieties grew alongside dwarf willows that hugged the ground like living carpets. Flowers bloomed in colors that no longer exist. Their pigments evolved to make the most of the unique light filtered through ice crystal-filled air. Feel your breathing becoming gentler as you explore this hidden world. Each breath brings you deeper into relaxation, deeper into the peaceful rhythm of this ancient sanctuary. Here, time moved differently. Seasons blended into one another in subtle gradations rather than sharp transitions, creating a perpetual spring that lasted for centuries. The creatures that lived in these gardens were equally extraordinary. Tiny horses no bigger than modern dogs grazed on nutritious sedges and grasses. These weren't evolutionary failures, but perfectly adapted creatures whose small size allowed them to thrive on limited resources while staying warm in the cool climate. DNA extracted from permafrost has revealed that these refugia served as evolutionary laboratories where new species developed in isolation. The Arctic fox, with its remarkable ability to change coat color from brown to white, first evolved in these protected valleys. So did the Arctic poppy, whose flowers track the sun across the sky to maximize warmth and light. Your body is sinking deeper into comfort now, warmed by the gentle sun of these ancient gardens. Feel how the plants here grew slowly but steadily, their roots extending deep into soil enriched by thousands of years of glacial sediment. There was no rush in these places, no fierce competition for resources, just the patient persistence of life, adapting to unique conditions. Scientists studying these refugia have discovered evidence of remarkable cooperation between species. Certain flowers timed their blooming to coincide with the arrival of specific insects that had traveled hundreds of miles to reach these oases. Trees shared nutrients through underground fungal networks that connected entire valley ecosystems, creating communities more integrated than anything we see in modern forests. The most touching discovery came from analyzing growth rings in ancient trees preserved in these refugia. During harsh years when resources were scarce, larger trees actually slowed their own growth to share nutrients with smaller, younger trees. This wasn't competition, but collaboration on a timescale measured in decades and centuries. Picture yourself resting in the shade of one of these ancient trees, feeling the deep peace that comes from being part of a community where every member supports the others. Your breathing matches the slow exchange of gases between these plants and the atmosphere, part of a cycle that has continued unbroken for millions of years. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of these refugia was their role as arcs of genetic diversity. When the ice finally retreated and the world began to warm, these protected populations were the source from which life recolonized vast areas of Europe, Asia, and North America. The oak trees in your local park, the wildflowers in nearby meadows, many trace their ancestry back to these secret gardens between the ice. As you drift further into sleep, carry with you this image of resilience and patience. Even in the coldest, harshest times, life found ways not just to survive, but to create beauty, to innovate, to prepare for renewal. These refugia remind us that there are always hidden places of warmth and growth, even in the most challenging circumstances. Let your consciousness drift now into the realm of the truly extraordinary, where ice becomes music and frozen water creates symphonies that stretch across continents. As your body settles into deeper relaxation, allow your mind to experience one of the most beautiful and impossible phenomena of the Ice Age, the singing glaciers that filled the ancient world with sounds unlike anything we can hear today. Scientists recording the movement of modern glaciers have detected infrasound, frequencies too low for human ears to hear directly, but which we can feel in our bodies as a deep, resonant vibration. During the Ice Age, when glaciers were hundreds of times larger than today, these sounds would have been audible across thousands of miles, creating a planetary chorus of ice. Picture yourself in the vast silence of the glacial landscape, but gradually becoming aware of something extraordinary. A low, harmonic tone that seems to come from the very ground beneath your feet. This is the voice of the glacier itself, the sound of millions of tons of ice slowly grinding across bedrock, creating frequencies that resonate through the Earth's crust like the deepest notes of an unimaginably large organ. Recent studies using seismic monitoring equipment have revealed that these glacial sounds followed predictable patterns. During spring melts, the pitch would rise as meltwater flowed beneath the ice, creating caverns and chambers that acted like resonance chambers. The result was a seasonal symphony that changed in tempo and tone as reliably as clockwork, marking the passage of time in ways that ancient peoples surely learned to recognize and trust. Feel your breathing synchronizing with these deep, slow rhythms, in and out, matching the patient breathing of the ice itself as it expanded and contracted with temperature changes. Each breath brings you deeper into harmony with these ancient sounds, these geological lullabies that once filled the air for thousands of years at a time. But the glaciers weren't the only instruments in this primordial orchestra. Wind flowing over the complex surfaces of ice sheets created standing waves of sound that could be heard for hundreds of miles. Ice caves, carved by geothermal springs, became natural amphitheaters where dropping water created percussive rhythms that echoed and re-echoed in complex patterns. The most remarkable discovery came from analyzing the internal structure of ice cores. Scientists found that the ice itself recorded these acoustic vibrations in the form of tiny pressure variations frozen into the crystalline structure. By studying these patterns, researchers can actually reconstruct the sounds of the Ice Age, playing back the music of glaciers that melted away thousands of years ago. Your body is completely relaxed now, resonating gently with these ancient frequencies. Feel how the sound waves traveled not just through air, but through the ground, through water, through the very bones of the earth. Every creature of the Ice Age lived within this constant, gentle symphony, their heartbeats and breathing patterns naturally synchronizing with the deep rhythms of their world. Recent experiments have shown that these infrasonic frequencies had profound effects on living creatures. Migrating animals use them for navigation, following the sound of specific glaciers like beacons across the landscape. Plants growing near ice sheets showed growth patterns that matched the acoustic rhythms, their cellular processes somehow attuned to these deep vibrations. The aurora borealis was more active during the Ice Age due to changes in Earth's magnetic field, and the interaction between these electromagnetic waves and the acoustic properties of ice created phenomena that we can only imagine. Some scientists theorize that the combination of glacial sounds, aurora activity, and the unique atmospheric conditions of the time created acoustic effects that bordered on the supernatural. Picture yourself lying peacefully beneath a sky filled with dancing lights, while the gentle songs of distant glaciers lull you toward sleep. This wasn't a harsh, silent world, but one filled with the most patient and persistent music ever created. A planetary lullaby that continued uninterrupted for tens of thousands of years. As your breathing becomes slower and more peaceful, know that you are still connected to these ancient rhythms. The water in your body once flowed in those glacial streams, once vibrated with those deep tones. The minerals in your bones were once part of the bedrock that sang beneath the weight of ice. You carry within you the memory of this impossible symphony, this music of ice and time and patient geological persistence. In the gentle twilight of your relaxation, allow your mind to descend into one of the most magical and mysterious aspects of the Ice Age world. Deep beneath the frozen surface, in caverns carved by geothermal springs and underground rivers, lay crystal caves of such beauty that they seem drawn from the most vivid dreams. These weren't just geological formations, but archives of memory where the story of the Ice Age was written in stone and crystal, preserved for us to discover 20,000 years later. Imagine yourself floating gently downward into one of these ancient sanctuaries, where the walls themselves glow with a soft inner light. The crystals here grew not in the usual way, but under the unique conditions created by the Ice Age, forming structures that existed nowhere else in Earth's history. Stalactites and stalagmites of pure ice grew alongside formations of calcite and quartz, creating chambers that seemed to blend the frozen world above with the warm earth below. Recent discoveries in caves beneath former ice sheets have revealed something extraordinary. These underground chambers served as refuges not just for animals, but for entire ecosystems that survived the glacial periods in these protected spaces. Cave bears, whose bones we find scattered throughout these caverns, weren't just hibernating here, they were living their entire lives in these crystal palaces, evolving specialized adaptations for underground life. Feel your breathing becoming deeper and more peaceful as you explore these hidden chambers. The air here is warm and humid, heated by geothermal springs that never froze even during the coldest periods. Each breath brings you deeper into the ancient peace of these sanctuaries, where time moved at the speed of crystal growth, measured not in days or years, but in centuries and millennia. The walls of these caves tell stories written in layers of mineral deposits. Scientists studying these formations have learned to read them like books, discovering records of rainfall, temperature changes, and atmospheric composition that extend back far beyond the end of the last ice age. Each tiny crystal formation represents years of steady growth, a patient accumulation of memory in stone. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery in these caves has been the preservation of organic material in ways that should be impossible. DNA from cave bears, giant ground sloths, and even microscopic organisms has been found intact in mineral formations, as if the crystals themselves were protecting these genetic memories from decay. Your body is settling into the deepest relaxation now, supported by the steady warmth of these underground springs, cradled by the patient embrace of stone that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. Here, in these crystal chambers, You can feel the deep stability of the earth itself, the solid foundation that supported all life through even the most dramatic climate changes. The acoustic properties of these caves were extraordinary. Water dripping from crystal formations created natural percussion that echoed through chambers for hours. These weren't random sounds, but patterns that followed the mathematical principles underlying crystal growth itself, creating music based on the same geometric relationships that govern the structure of matter at the atomic level. Recent studies using sophisticated recording equipment have captured these cave sounds and discovered that they create brainwave patterns associated with deep meditation and healing. Ancient peoples who sheltered in these caves during the harshest winters may have experienced states of consciousness that we can only imagine, their minds naturally synchronizing with the crystalline frequencies surrounding them. Picture yourself resting on soft sand beside one of these underground pools where the water maintains a perfect temperature year-round. The gentle sounds of dripping water and the soft glow of crystal formations create the most peaceful environment imaginable, a natural sanctuary designed by millions of years of geological process specifically for rest and renewal. The ice above these caves acted like a natural lens, focusing moonlight and starlight down through cracks and openings, creating patterns of illumination that changed with the seasons and the phases of the moon. During certain times of the year, these light patterns would align with crystal formations to create displays of natural beauty that modern light shows can only crudely imitate. As you drift deeper into sleep, carry with you the image of these crystal memory caves. These underground archives, with a story of life persisting through the greatest climate challenges, is written in stone and ice and reserved light. Know that you too are part of this story, connected through time and mineral and water to every creature that ever sought shelter in these ancient sanctuaries. As your body reaches a state of profound relaxation, let your awareness settle into the gentler rhythms of our Ice Age journey. We move now from the dramatic revelations of the frozen world to the more subtle, soothing patterns that govern daily life during this ancient time. The transition of seasons during the Ice Age wasn't the sharp contrast we experience today, but a gradual, meditative flow that lasted for months, teaching every living thing the deep wisdom of patience and gentle change. Picture yourself experiencing an Ice Age autumn, but one that stretches across what we would consider half a year. The changes happen so slowly that you can feel your body and mind naturally adapting, breathing in harmony with the gradual cooling, the imperceptible shortening of days, the slow transformation of plant life around you. The leaves of Ice Age trees didn't simply turn color and fall. Instead, they underwent a transformation that lasted for months, their color shifting through subtle gradations that existed only under the unique light conditions of the glacial atmosphere. Atmospheric particles, created by the grinding of glaciers, scattered light in ways that enhanced certain wavelengths, creating sunsets and dawns that could last for hours, painting the sky in colors that no longer exist. Feel your breathing naturally slowing as we explore these gentle transitions. Each inhalation brings you deeper into the peaceful rhythm of gradual change, the wisdom of transformation that doesn't rush but unfolds at the perfect pace for growth and adaptation. Scientists studying plant fossils from this period have discovered that the growing seasons were longer, not shorter, than we might expect. While overall temperatures were cooler, the gradual transitions meant that plants could continue photosynthesis and growth at slow, steady rates throughout most of the year. This created ecosystems of remarkable stability, where energy flowed in predictable patterns that sustained complex food webs for thousands of years. The animals of this world moved in harmony with these extended seasons. Migration patterns followed rhythms, measured not in weeks or months, but in years and decades. Herds would begin their journeys when the first subtle signs of change appeared, traveling slowly across thousands of miles in movements, so gradual that they seemed less like migration than like the breathing of the continents themselves. Your body is now completely at peace, synchronized with these ancient rhythms of gradual change. Feel how the Ice Age taught every living thing the value of patience, the understanding that the most profound transformations happen slowly, steadily, with the gentle persistence of natural processes that have been refined over millions of years. Recent studies of ice cores have revealed that even the weather patterns were more stable during the Ice Age, rather than the quick-changing fronts and sudden storms we experience today. Weather systems moved across the landscape like slow rivers of air, bringing gradual changes in temperature and precipitation that allowed plants and animals to adjust and adapt continuously. The northern lights were more frequent and more intense during this time, but they too followed gentler patterns than the dynamic displays we occasionally see today. These aurora would often persist for entire nights, creating a soft, steady glow that provided enough light for nocturnal activities while never being harsh or startling. Picture yourself walking through an Ice Age evening beneath these gentle lights, your footsteps muffled by deep snow that has been falling steadily for days, creating a landscape of soft curves and peaceful shadows. The air is clean and clear, carrying the faint sounds of ice settling and the distant calls of creatures perfectly adapted to this serene world. The transition we're making now in our story mirrors the gradual awakening that happened as the Ice Age slowly gave way to warmer times. This wasn't a sudden melting, but a transformation that took thousands of years, allowing life to adapt gradually, to learn new patterns while keeping the wisdom gained during the long, patient centuries of ice. As we prepare to move into the most peaceful phase of our journey together, let your mind settle into the gentle rhythm of these ancient transitions. Your breathing naturally matches the slow pulse of seasonal change, the patient heartbeat of a world that understood the deep value of taking time, of allowing transformation to unfold at nature's own perfect pace. Now we enter the tranquil phase of our journey, where the dramatic discoveries give way to gentle wisdom and the soothing rhythms of ancient knowledge. Let your consciousness drift on the whispered winds that circled the globe during the Ice Age, carrying stories and secrets in their gentle, persistent flow. These weren't the harsh, turbulent winds we might imagine, but steady, patient currents that maintained their patterns for centuries, creating a global communication system more reliable than any network we know today. The atmospheric circulation during the Ice Age followed patterns of profound stability and beauty. Air currents moved in great, slow spirals that took months to complete their circuits, carrying with them the microscopic spores of plants, the chemical signatures of distant lands, and the very breath of life itself. To float with these ancient winds is to understand communication at the pace of geological time, where messages took seasons to travel from sender to receiver, teaching patience to every living thing. Feel your breathing naturally slowing to match these gentle, persistent currents. Each inhalation brings you into harmony with wind patterns that once connected every part of our planet in a web of flowing air and shared atmosphere. Your exhalations join this ancient circulation, becoming part of the same global breath that once sustained mammoths in Siberia and cave bears in Europe. Recent atmospheric modeling has revealed that these Ice Age wind patterns created microclimates of extraordinary stability. Valleys and coastal regions developed their own gentle atmospheric rhythms that persisted for thousands of years, creating conditions where specific plant and animal communities could evolve in perfect harmony with their local environment. The winds carried more than just air and moisture. Volcanic ash from eruptions would circle the globe at high altitudes, creating some of the most spectacular sunsets in Earth's history. These displays weren't brief shows, but gradual transformations of the entire sky that could last for hours, teaching every creature that witnessed them about the beauty that comes from patience and the slow development of natural processes. Picture yourself resting in a sheltered valley during the Ice Age, feeling the gentle touch of wind that has traveled across thousands of miles of ice and snow, carrying with it the pure essence of the frozen world. This wind is neither cold nor harsh, but perfectly suited to your needs, bringing exactly the right amount of coolness to keep you comfortable as you rest. Scientists studying ancient pollen preserved in lake sediments have discovered that these stable wind patterns allowed plants to develop remarkably efficient reproduction strategies. Seeds and spores could travel on predictable currents for hundreds of miles, reaching suitable growing sites with an accuracy that seems almost intentional. This wasn't random dispersal, but a sophisticated system of plant communication and propagation that worked at the speed of seasonal change. Your body is now deeply relaxed, supported by the steady presence of these ancient atmospheric patterns. Feel how these winds once carried the calls of migrating birds across continents, allowing flocks separated by thousands of miles to coordinate their movements through shared acoustic signals that traveled on reliable air currents. The most remarkable discovery about Ice Age winds came from studying the chemistry of ice cores. These ancient air masses carried trace elements and isotopic signatures that reveal a planet-wide system of atmospheric mixing far more thorough than what we see today. Air that rose above the glaciers of North America would eventually rain down as snow on the mountains of Tibet, creating a global circulation system that connected every part of Earth in a slow, steady exchange of atmospheric memory. During certain seasons, when atmospheric conditions were just right, these winds would create standing wave patterns that produced natural harmonics, audible across vast regions. Entire continents would resonate with gentle, persistent tones that lasted for days or weeks, creating a planetary music that every living thing could feel in their bodies and use for navigation and timing. As you sink deeper into peaceful relaxation, know that you are still breathing the same atmosphere that created these ancient wind patterns. The oxygen in your lungs has circulated through this global system countless times, carrying with it the memory of ice-covered landscapes, ancient forests, and the patient breathing of creatures who learned to live in perfect harmony with their slowly changing world. These whispered winds carry us now toward the most peaceful part of our journey, where the remaining discoveries unfold at the gentle pace of a bedtime story, designed to carry you softly into the deepest, most restorative sleep. In this deep, peaceful stage of our journey, allow your consciousness to witness one of the most meditative processes in Earth's history, the great melting that slowly transformed the Ice Age world. This wasn't a violent or sudden change, but a transformation so gradual and gentle that it took 10,000 years to complete, teaching us profound lessons about patience, acceptance, and the beauty of slow, inevitable change. Picture yourself sitting beside a glacial stream during this great transition, watching ice that has been frozen for 20,000 years slowly return to its liquid form. Each drop of meltwater carries within it the memory of ancient snowfalls, the breath of long-extinct creatures, and the patient persistence of time itself. The sound of this melting isn't harsh or urgent, but gentle and rhythmic, like the most soothing meditation music ever created by nature. Recent studies of the melting patterns have revealed something extraordinary about the pace of this transformation. The ice didn't simply warm and disappear, but underwent a gradual transition that allowed every aspect of the ecosystem to adapt slowly and naturally. Plants had centuries to migrate and establish new populations. Animals had dozens of generations to develop new behaviors and migration routes. Feel your breathing naturally synchronizing with the rhythm of this ancient melting. Each breath in represents the slow accumulation of warmth, each breath out the gentle release of what is no longer needed. This is the meditation of letting go practiced by an entire planet, the deep wisdom of transformation that honors both what was and what is becoming. The meltwater itself became a teacher, flowing in patterns that carved new valleys and created temporary lakes that lasted for centuries. These bodies of water weren't chaotic flood zones, but carefully shaped landscapes where the water moved with the patience of a master gardener, preparing the soil for the forests and grasslands that would follow. Scientists studying ancient lake sediments have discovered that these temporary bodies of water supported incredibly diverse ecosystems. Microscopic life forms evolved quickly in these new environments, creating the foundation for food webs that would eventually support the return of larger animals as the ice continued its slow retreat. Your body is now in the deepest state of relaxation, mirroring the peaceful acceptance of change demonstrated by the Ice Age world. Feel how every cell in your body participates in its own constant, gentle transformation, replacing old materials with new ones in a process as gradual and natural as the melting of ancient glaciers. The most beautiful aspect of this great melting was how it revealed the landscape beneath the ice. As glaciers retreated, they exposed valleys carved into fantastic shapes, polished bedrock that gleamed like mirrors, and deposits of rich soil that had been protected under ice for millennia. This wasn't destruction, but revelation, the uncovering of hidden beauty that had been patiently waiting for its time to emerge. Birds were among the first to recognize and utilize these newly revealed landscapes. Species that had survived the Ice Age in southern refugia began extending their ranges northward, following the melting ice edge and establishing new territories in landscapes that hadn't seen life for thousands of years. Their songs filled valleys that had known only the sound of wind and ice, creating the first music of the warming world. Picture yourself witnessing this gentle renaissance, where every retreating glacier revealed new possibilities for life. The process was so gradual that no single generation of any creature experienced it as dramatic change, but rather as the natural evolution of their world, each season bringing subtle improvements in climate and opportunity. The meditation of melting teaches us about the deep intelligence of natural systems, how they manage transformation in ways that minimize disruption, while maximizing the potential for new growth and adaptation. This ancient wisdom flows through your breathing now, each peaceful inhalation and exhalation part of the same patient process that slowly and gently reshaped our planet. As we continue deeper into the most restful part of our journey, carry with you this understanding of change as meditation, transformation as gentle awakening, and the deep peace that comes from trusting in natural processes that unfold at exactly the right pace for healthy growth and adaptation. As you rest in the deepest comfort, let your awareness expand now to embrace the vast perspective of cosmic time, where the entire Ice Age becomes just one gentle breath in the slow respiration of our planet. From this elevated viewpoint, floating peacefully above the concerns of daily life, you can see the Ice Age not as a harsh period of survival, but as a necessary and beautiful phase in Earth's long journey toward the perfect conditions that support the incredible diversity of life we know today. Imagine yourself drifting weightlessly through space, looking down at Earth during various periods of its history. The Ice Age appears as a slow, rhythmic pulsing of white across the continents, like watching the planet breathe through cycles measured in tens of thousands of years. From this cosmic perspective, you can see how these glacial periods were actually times of rest and renewal, allowing the planet to reset its climate systems and prepare for new chapters of biological creativity. Recent astronomical studies have revealed that these ice ages follow patterns connected to Earth's orbit around the Sun, changes in the planet's tilt, and the slow wobble of its axis through space. These cycles, called Milankovitch cycles, show us that the Ice Age was part of a vast cosmic dance involving our entire solar system, a choreography of gravitational forces and orbital mechanics that plays out over hundreds of thousands of years. Feel your breathing naturally slowing to match these vast cosmic rhythms. Each breath you take connects you to cycles of change that began long before life appeared on Earth, and will continue long after the Sun expands into a red giant billions of years from now. You are part of this cosmic breathing, this universal rhythm of expansion and contraction, warming and cooling, activity and rest. From this elevated perspective, you can see how the Ice Age served as a great teacher for life on Earth. The challenges of cold and scarcity forced evolutionary innovations that would never have developed under easier conditions. The cooperation between species we observed in the refugia, the efficiency of energy use in creatures like woolly mammoths, the patience and endurance built into migration patterns, all these adaptations became permanent gifts that life carried forward into warmer times. Scientists studying the fossil record have discovered that periods following ice ages consistently show explosions of biological diversity and creativity. It's as if the constraints of the cold world concentrated life's creative energy, and when those constraints were removed, that energy burst forth in new forms of unprecedented beauty and complexity. Your body is now perfectly at rest, floating in the deep peace of cosmic perspective, where individual concerns dissolve into the vast, patient unfolding of universal processes. From here, you can see how every moment of challenge in your own life serves the same function as the Ice Age did for our planet, creating opportunities for growth and adaptation that wouldn't be possible under easier conditions. The most remarkable discovery from studying Earth's climate history is that ice ages appear to be essential for the long-term stability of planetary climates. They act like reset buttons, preventing the accumulation of atmospheric conditions that might otherwise make planets uninhabitable. Mars, which lacks these periodic ice ages, lost its atmosphere and became sterile. Venus, which never had them, became a greenhouse inferno. Picture Earth as a living being that uses ice ages the way you use sleep, as periods of rest and repair that maintain the health and creativity of the whole system. The Ice Age wasn't punishment or hardship, but healing time, planetary sleep that allowed deep restoration and renewal to take place at every level of the biosphere. From this cosmic viewpoint, you can see the exquisite timing of Earth's Ice Age cycles. They occur frequently enough to prevent stagnation, but not so often as to prevent life from developing complexity and intelligence. The spacing of these great rest periods was perfect for allowing evolution to progress steadily while maintaining the planetary conditions necessary for long-term habitability. As you prepare to drift into the deepest phase of our journey, carry with you this cosmic perspective on the wisdom of cycles, the necessity of rest, and the profound intelligence that governs natural systems across all scales of time and space. You are part of this vast, patient cosmic breathing, supported by the same universal principles that guided life through the challenges and revelations of the Ice Age. The peace you feel now is the peace of perfect timing, the deep rest that comes from understanding your place in the infinite, patient unfolding of cosmic intelligence. Now we enter the most peaceful phase of our journey, where the stories become gentle lullabies and every word is chosen to carry you deeper into the most restorative sleep. Let your consciousness settle beside the shores of the countless lakes that formed as the great ice began its final, gentle retreat. These weren't ordinary lakes, but bodies of water so pure and clear that they seemed made of liquid crystal, reflecting not just the sky above, but the patient wisdom of the ages they had witnessed. The formation of these glacial lakes was itself a meditation in slowness. As the ice retreated, it left behind depressions that filled gradually with meltwater, creating temporary seas that existed for centuries before slowly draining away or being filled with sediment. Each lake was a mirror reflecting the changing sky, a place where clouds and stars could see their own beauty reflected in perfect stillness. Feel yourself resting on the soft shore of one of these ancient lakes, where the sand is fine as powder and warm from absorbing sunlight throughout the long, gentle days of the late Ice Age. The water laps against the shore with the softest whisper, a rhythm so gentle and regular that it naturally synchronizes with your heartbeat and breathing, carrying you deeper into peaceful rest. The water in these lakes was unlike any water on Earth today. Filtered through thousands of feet of ice and stone, it contained minerals and trace elements in perfect balance, creating an environment that supported unique forms of life found nowhere else. Microscopic algae created subtle colors in the water that changed with the seasons, painting the lakes in soft pastels that shifted from pale blue to gentle green to the faintest lavender. Scientists studying the sediments of these ancient lakes have found preserved pollen and organic matter that tells stories of incredible beauty. Flowers bloomed along these shorelines that existed only during this brief period of Earth's history, Their seeds designed specifically for the unique conditions created by glacial meltwater and the particular quality of light filtered through the Ice Age atmosphere. Your breathing is becoming slower and more peaceful now, matching the gentle rhythm of small waves against the shore of these ancient lakes. Each breath in brings you the pure, clean air of the Ice Age world. Each breath out releases any remaining tension, allowing you to float in perfect comfort on the boundary between waking and sleeping. The shores of these lakes became gathering places for the animals emerging from the Ice Age, not for hunting or territory, but for the simple pleasure of clean water and the peaceful energy that emanated from these pristine environments. Herds of deer would come to drink at dawn and dusk, their reflections joining with the clouds in the mirror-like surface, creating moments of perfect symmetry between earth and sky. Recent discoveries have shown that these glacial lakes had remarkable acoustic properties. Sounds carried across their surfaces in ways that created natural amphitheaters, allowing the gentle calls of water birds to be heard for miles. The lakes themselves seemed to sing, their surfaces creating subtle harmonics as gentle breezes moved across the water. Picture yourself floating peacefully on your back in the warm, shallow waters near the shore, looking up at a sky filled with clouds that move so slowly they seem painted in place. The water supports you perfectly, its mineral content creating just the right buoyancy to keep you effortlessly afloat. You are safe, supported, and completely at peace. The most magical quality of these lakes was their effect on time itself. Scientists studying the growth rings of trees that grew near these waters have found that biological processes seemed to slow down in their presence, as if the pure water created fields of temporal calm where life could unfold at the perfect pace for growth and healing. Some of these lakes lasted for thousands of years, becoming permanent features that supported entire ecosystems for hundreds of generations. Others were temporary, existing for just a few centuries before gradually filling with sediment or draining away. But each one, whether permanent or temporary, contributed to the slow healing of the landscape as it adjusted to the post-glacial world. As you rest beside these ancient waters, feel how your own body is mostly water, connected through this fundamental element to every lake, stream, and ocean that has ever existed. The H2O molecules in your cells have traveled through countless cycles of evaporation and condensation, and some of them were once part of these pristine glacial lakes, carrying within your very being the memory of this perfect peace. In this quiet space of deep relaxation, we witness together the most tender and beautiful chapter of our Ice Age story, the gentle awakening of the Earth as warmth gradually returned to landscapes that had slept under ice for 20,000 years. This awakening wasn't sudden or dramatic, but unfolded with the soft patience of a flower opening to the morning sun, taking thousands of years to complete and touching every aspect of life with renewed possibility. Picture the first moment when a blade of grass pushed through soil that had been frozen since before human civilization began. This wasn't a struggle against harsh conditions, but a natural unfurling, as if the earth itself was stretching after a long restorative sleep. The grass grew slowly, taking an entire season to reach the height that modern grass achieves in weeks. But this slow growth created root systems of incredible depth and strength. The awakening began in the south and moved gradually northward, following the retreating ice edge at a pace so gentle that no single generation of any creature experienced it as dramatic change. Trees extended their ranges by just a few miles each year, carried by winds and animals that had learned patience from their long residence in the Ice Age world. This was expansion without conquest, growth without haste, the kind of sustainable development that only happens when guided by the deep wisdom of natural timing. Feel your own body participating in this ancient awakening. Your breathing naturally deepens and slows, matching the pace of this great renewal. Each inhalation brings you the fresh energy of landscapes coming back to life. Each exhalation releases the deep rest of the glacial sleep, preparing you for your own gentle awakening into peaceful dreams. Scientists studying pollen records from this period have discovered something remarkable about the speed of this awakening. While individual plants and animals moved slowly, the overall transformation of ecosystems happened with surprising coordination. It was as if all of life was following a shared internal clock that had been set during the long years of ice, allowing for synchronized renewal across entire continents. The awakening brought with it new forms of cooperation between species that had learned during the Ice Age. That survival depended on mutual support rather than competition. Trees that had learned to share nutrients through fungal networks during the harsh glacial years continued this practice as they spread into new territories, creating forests that function more like single organisms than collections of individual plants. Your muscles are now completely relaxed, warmed by the gentle sun of this ancient spring that lasted for centuries. Feel how your body releases all tension, following the example of the earth itself as it gradually let go of the rigidity imposed by extreme cold and slowly returned to the flowing, dynamic patterns of life in balance. Water played a central role in this awakening. As the ice melted, it created temporary wetlands and marshes that served as nurseries for countless species of plants and animals. These weren't chaotic flood zones, but carefully structured ecosystems that formed and dissolved in patterns that provided exactly the right conditions for life to establish itself in previously frozen territories. The most beautiful aspect of this awakening was how it revealed the deep intelligence built into natural systems during the Ice Age. Plants that had survived in refugia carried within their genetic memory the ability to quickly establish new populations when conditions became favorable. Animals retained migration routes and behaviors that allowed them to efficiently colonize new territories as they became available. Recent studies have shown that this post-glacial awakening established many of the ecological patterns we still see today. The timing of seasonal migrations, the relationships between predators and prey, the succession patterns in forests, all were established during this gentle period of renewal and have been maintained through genetic and cultural memory for 10,000 years. Picture yourself as part of this awakening, your consciousness gently expanding as you prepare to transition from the deep rest of sleep into the refreshed awareness of morning. But for now, you remain in the perfect balance point between sleeping and waking, participating in the Earth's own gentle transition from the deep rest of the ice age to the dynamic activity of the warming world. The awakening teaches us that the most profound renewals happen slowly, with patience and wisdom, allowing every aspect of a system to adjust and adapt in harmony with the whole. This is the kind of awakening that brings lasting strength and sustainability, the kind of renewal that honors both the rest that came before and the activity that will follow. As we reach the final moments of our journey together, let your consciousness settle into the deepest, most peaceful understanding of the Ice Age, where all the stories we've shared blend into one eternal dream of perfect balance and infinite patience. You are now completely relaxed, your breathing slow and natural, your body supported by the same forces that supported life through 20,000 years of ice and the gradual return of warmth. The true secret of the Ice Age, the final revelation we carry with us into sleep, is that it never really ended. The wisdom learned during those long, patient years became part of the genetic and spiritual memory of every living thing on Earth, including you. In your deepest sleep, your body still remembers the efficiency of energy use learned by Ice Age creatures, the cooperation and mutual support developed by plants in refugia, the patient endurance of migrations that lasted for generations. Picture yourself now as both witness and participant in this eternal dream. You are the mammoth following ancient pathways, your footsteps worn smooth by countless generations before you. You are the tree in the refugia, sharing nutrients through underground networks with your forest family. You are the crystal in the cave, growing slowly and steadily, recording the memory of the ages in your very structure. The ice still exists, of course, in the great sheets of Greenland and Antarctica, in the permafrost of the Arctic, in the glaciers that cap the highest mountains. But more than that, it exists in the patient part of your consciousness, the deep wisdom that knows how to endure, how to adapt, how to find beauty and meaning, even in the most challenging circumstances. Recent research has shown that humans carry genetic adaptations developed during the Ice Age, cellular mechanisms that help us conserve energy during times of scarcity and cooperate more effectively during times of stress. We are literally the descendants of the Ice Age, carrying within our bodies and minds the accumulated wisdom of thousands of generations who learned to thrive in a world of ice. Your breathing is now perfectly synchronized with the slow, deep rhythms of glacial time. Each breath connects you to the vast patience of geological processes, the understanding that the most important changes happen slowly, steadily, with the persistent gentleness of snowfall, accumulating over centuries to become the ice that shaped continents. As you prepare to enter your own restorative sleep, know that you join the eternal dream of the Earth itself, the slow, cyclical breathing of ice ages and warming periods that maintains the perfect balance necessary for life. Your sleep is part of this ancient rhythm, your dreams connected to the memory of crystalline caves and aurora-lit nights, of mammoth migrations, and the songs of glacial winds. The Ice Age teaches us the deepest secret of existence, that rest and activity, challenge and ease, cold and warmth are all part of a vast, intelligent pattern that unfolds across scales of time too large for ordinary consciousness to grasp, but perfectly suited to the deeper wisdom we access in sleep and dreams. Feel yourself now becoming part of this pattern, your individual consciousness, joining the collective memory of every creature that ever found peace in the sheltered valleys between glaciers, every plant that survived in the refugia, every drop of water that flowed in the streams of the Great Awakening. Tonight, as you sleep, you carry with you the patience of the mammoth, the persistence of the crystal, the cooperation of the refugia plants, and the gentle power of the winds that once circled a world of ice. You are supported by the same natural intelligence that guided life through 20,000 years of challenge and transformation, and your dreams will be filled with the aurora light of ancient skies and the soft whisper of eternal snow. The Ice Age dream continues in you, gentle and eternal, as vast as the glaciers and as intimate as your own peaceful breathing. Rest now in this ancient wisdom. Sleep now in this timeless peace. Dream now in the eternal rhythm of ice and awakening, cold and warmth, rest and renewal. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler through deep time. The mammoth paths are still there, waiting for you in the landscape of sleep, leading always toward the safe places, the warm places, the places where life persists and thrives, no matter what challenges the world may bring. Sleep now, rest now. Dream now in the eternal peace of ice and memory, and the patient love of a planet that has learned, through 20,000 years of practice, exactly how to take care of the life it holds so tenderly in its arms. Tonight you've discovered the hidden beauty of our planet's most transformative period, traveling from the towering ice cathedrals, through crystal memory caves, to the gentle awakening that continues to this day. You've learned that the Ice Age wasn't a time of hardship, but of patient wisdom, cooperation, and the deep intelligence that guides all natural systems through cycles of rest and renewal. If this journey through frozen time has brought you peace, consider subscribing to join future explorations of our planet's most amazing secrets. Next time, we'll travel even deeper into Earth's hidden history, discovering the incredible story of how the first forests learned to sing with the wind, and how their songs still echo in every leaf that rustles today. Rest well, knowing that you carry within you the patience of glaciers, the cooperation of refugia, and the gentle wisdom of a world that knew how to find beauty and meaning even in the depths of the longest winter. The Ice Age dream lives on in your peaceful sleep, connecting you to the eternal rhythm of our planet's breathing, the slow, patient pulse of deep time that holds us all in its loving embrace. Sweet dreams, and may your sleep be as peaceful as the crystal caves, as restorative as the refugia, and as deep as the ancient ice that still remembers the songs of the mammoth winds.